So welcome back to the Make It Mastermind podcast. We're your hosts, Julian and James, the show where we bring you real people, real conversations, interviews, life experiences. And today we've pulled in a very, very, very special guest. Well, I should say, James, you've pulled in a very special guest.
Yeah, cheers.
So top of the fist for you on that one. We've got Nicola Barke. Welcome to the podcast. Oh my God, I've just done it. It's because you said it, that's fine.
Alright, we'll leave it there.
Are we going to leave it in or we're going to roll?
Or do you want to start again? Would you prefer to start again?
Leave it in. Authentic.
We literally said that we fuck up, didn't we? Before we started, it was like, we always fuck up, and I was like, oh, we said it, so we probably won't now.
But we're in. Nicola, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming to see us. So let's kick things off a little bit lightly. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, so where you're from? And then me and James are going to sort of dig into your life and kind of take it from there, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. So I was born North London, Hemel Hempstead. I grew up there, had all my schooling there. Then when I decided I wanted to go into biomedical sciences, I moved to Bristol, absolutely loved the city. Then after I'd finished studying and working there, I moved back to North London area. And now I'm up in Leeds.
Oh
yeah, there you go. So when you were growing up, what did that look like? What did your life look like when you were...
Were you a sporty kid?
Sporty, not sporty?
Oh, I really wasn't actually. In fact, I was that kid who used to cheat all the time when they were like, we're going to run around the track. I'd be diverting off somewhere.
Straight through the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah?
But actually, when I was a kid, I had a condition called narcolepsy. So I don't know if you're familiar with that. So basically, you could be walking down the street, you could be sat eating dinner, and you just fall asleep for hours on end and no one can wake you up. So when I was a kid, through all of my childhood, I had that. And usually you don't grow out of it. So you're stuck with it for life. But by some miracle...
So you would just fall asleep?
For hours.
Yeah, we've seen it in Rat Race where he's about to win. He gets the key and,
yes.
And just... Mr. B just falls asleep.
No, I've not seen Rat Race.
Yeah, well,
that's exactly it.
Shout
yeah.
out Rat Race. I've only been the easiest way to describe it.
But no, that exactly happened. So we had quite a funny story. So it was I think it was like my 4th birthday, and it's all on record, and everyone's singing me happy birthday, and I've fallen asleep, put my face in the cake, my fringe is caught on fire. I'm like chilled as anything because I'm asleep, and everyone else is like, drama, need to blow it out. But yeah, so for all of my childhood, I pretty much had narcolepsy. So I really struggled in school quite a lot because I missed a lot of hours sleeping.
So how did you go about catching up then in school? Did you just
so for a lot of my primary school didn't really catch up. It was only when I went to secondary school that I realised how big the gap was. And I was really fortunate at the time that my friendship circle was so intelligent. They were all in top set for everything. And that was really what pushed me and fueled me to be like, I want to be in the same set as my friends. And where I just put in so much work and hours to then, be in the same classes as them and catch up. But it was a lot of extra work. I remember I used to call my friends after school and be like, can you help me with this question, please? Which to them was just like easy. So but to me, it was like super complex.
What was your kind of go-to then, I guess, in your teenage years? What did you like to do for fun, for hobbies? What were some of those?
So as a kid, I did ballet for quite a long time, but I didn't really enjoy it. It was more, your parents had this wonderful idea of a little girl in a ballerina in a tutu dress. And I was terrible at it, like I couldn't dance. And it was only when I was about 15, I was like, Mum, Dad, look, I really hate this. I'm not very good. And then there was the Duke of Edinburgh award at school, which had just been introduced, where you had to take up a new physical activity. So I was like, this is my way out. And that's when I first started dipping into the martial arts circle.
That's quite a big, drastic jump though.
Yeah, ballet to
martial arts.
Yeah, you know what? It was that child logic that if I'm bad at ballet, no worries, or maybe I'm better at something which is full contact. And it didn't really work out because when I first started, I was pretty terrible because you need all the footwork. But I just completely fell in love with martial arts after that.
Yeah. What age was that when you first started?
16, 17.
16.
So I feel that was quite late. But
yeah, I guess it is pretty late. What did your parents think? What were your parents or people
ballet
around you like? Ballet to fighting, and then fighting's obviously seen as quite masculine and dangerous and all that sort of stuff. Like, did you get any pushback or?
So my mum, bless her, has always been super supportive. I don't think anyone likes watching their kids being punched in the face or kicked.
Definitely shouldn't. Yeah.
So she completely supports me. I don't think she particularly enjoys it, but she always makes the effort to show her support and travels wherever I choose to fight, whether it be China or the UK. She'll fly in even just to be there. Yeah, my dad's a little bit more difficult. I don't think he likes it so much. Yeah, I think he'd prefer if I did ballet.
Yeah. So to take it back a little bit, when you were going to study at Bristol, what did you study there?
So at Bristol, I studied biomedical sciences.
Wow.
So huge career change. Initially when I was younger, I wanted to be a doctor. I was really keen on medicine. So biomedical science was sort of the gateway into the medical field. And then in that summer holiday, I went and worked in a hospital in Czech Republic and realised I didn't like the smell of when they cut people open, which I wasn't prepared for. So visuals were okay, but the minute they started burning bodily tissues, that wasn't my cup of tea.
So that just put you off. You was like, right, I've got to figure something out now.
And I'd spoken to a couple of junior doctors as well about their hours, and the first thought that popped into my mind is well, this is going to mess up my training timetable. So I was like, I don't think this is the career for me.
So did you complete your studies then whilst you was at university? So
yeah, so completed them, successfully left with, I think it was a first class honours degree. Somehow. I thought my A-levels were harder, if I'm being completely honest. I thought that was a shock to the system.
All right. Oh, nice. When you say it's going to mess up my training times, was at that point, was fighting the priority? Was fighting the dream, the big goal, or was being a doctor the big goal? And how did you wrestle with those two?
Yeah, so at the time they were sort of on par, because during university it was really easy to sort of balance them out. And then when it started getting real, very serious, and I was like, okay, if I do medicine, then I actually have to, be present physically in all of my lectures, and training just wasn't going to be as flexible. And then it was sort of, okay, actually, you know what, I do really enjoy martial arts, and we only live once. So I didn't want to sacrifice 5 years of unhappiness.
I hear that. So what was it about training and fighting that you fell in love with? What part of it was there? It's the whole thing, really. For me, when you look at martial arts from the outside, it looks quite aggressive. It looks like you've just put two random people in a ring and you're like, go, fight. But for me, there's so much more to it. There's the technical aspects. It's almost like a physical chess game, right? Because both people have trained intensively, and it's much more than just physically getting into shape. It's mentally being ready for that, and tactically being able to outsmart your opponent to have the upper hand on the night and to walk away with the win. So for me, it's a whole range of things, and it's endless improvement in that sort of strive for perfection. And I just find that so interesting. I absolutely love it.
Do you know what? No one's ever. I don't think any fighter that's ever come on to ever
described it like that.
Broke it down like that as more of a. They always say the mind side, the psychological side's actually probably more difficult than the physical side.
Yeah.
But never to that degree of tactics. So I don't know, to go forward, if you're fighting someone, would you look at them, analyse them, try work them out, or is that problem solving on the spot? How does it work?
Yeah, just to see what they're about. So you'd spend typically the first round trying to feel out your opponent if you don't have any footage on them in the first instance, to see what they're comfortable throwing, to see almost where their gaps are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and how you can manipulate that to work to your advantage.
Yeah.
It's a chess game, and like you said, it's a physical chess game, and
that's how I like to see it anyway.
Do you know what, you're right. I think Joe Rogan says it's like a physical chess game with dire consequences or something.
That's probably more correct,
yeah. So when did you have your first physical fight, in the ring?
First physical fight in the ring? In Taekwondo or in kickboxing?
I would say more kickboxing, the more unguarded, kind of, a bit more raw. And
I think that was about 4 years ago now. That was super south, on the coast, and that was against, I think she was a European kickboxer or European, yeah. She was a really good opponent.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't win that one. I remember the coach coming into the changing room and saying like, oh, you're allowed spinning back fist, and I had no idea what that was at the time. My coach was like, don't worry about this now, and then that was like the thing I ironically got knocked out by. But I couldn't remember any of it, so like we look back on it now and it's a bit of a laugh because it's like, did I win? And they're like, no, you didn't. Oh God.
What was that like then? You know, that your first show, you're out there and you get knocked down. It's part of the sport. It happens. How did you take that personally when that happened?
I think I was more upset because of my mum. Like seeing her reaction was like, yeah, that was the thing that like really concerned me more than anything else. Like, I was fine, couldn't remember anything, couldn't feel anything. So.
But it's crazy how the human body does that, right? Like you didn't care about yourself, and I kind of get what you mean with sort of with your mum being there and her seeing you in that type of way, and you feeling sorry for your mum to have to feel that way. It's crazy how like you're not even thinking about yourself in that regard.
Yeah, no, not at all. It was more like, I know I'm fine, but clearly she can see that perhaps I don't look fine, or she didn't think I was fine a few minutes ago. So yeah, no, that was the hardest thing to deal with. Like on a personal level, like we all have hurdles to overcome, and had it not been that way, I think maybe my career in fighting would have planned out very differently. So it definitely helped me refocus and gave me even more like desire and motivation to then move on from that.
Yeah, do you know what they say that about losses in general, don't they? Like it's, if you can learn from it, it's way more powerful than you know, win. It's that first loss that probably teach you more than all your wins combined.
Yeah, true.
But it's like I said, when you went back to the drawing board, your first kickboxing fight, did you have any doubts, any questions, or it was just like sheer switch back on?
I just remember being on autopilot the whole time. Like I couldn't remember. Like I couldn't remember. And even when I look back to my fights now, everything's just autopilot. Like you train so much, you prepare so much physically and mentally that when you're there, it's almost just like there's like a pre-planned dance almost.
Yeah. That's pretty.
Yeah, do you know what I was saying to you? I've never had like a full contact fight in a ring or anything like that. It's something that just I do want to do and experience and see what it feels like. But yeah, so with training then, so how often are you training a week now?
So I train 6 to 7 days a week.
6 to 7 days a week? Yeah,
so I train before work, like during my lunch hour, and then after work.
Oh, so we're not even...
every day.
Does it frustrate you if you hear people around? Do you work in an office or?
I do.
Yeah, so if you work in an office, does it frustrate you when maybe people say, oh, I just don't have the time to train?
No, it doesn't. I
just have time to go to the gym. And you're like, well, fucking gone this morning, my lunch break, after work.
Show me your calendar.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Everyone has their own priorities in life. Like, if it's important to you, you'll make the time, and if it's not, then you won't. So I'm very consciously of the fact that I don't have a family that I need to dedicate time to, like, well, immediate family, like kids and stuff. And other people aren't in the same situation. So for me, fighting is my priority, and I make that a conscious choice.
Yeah, do you know what, the training side's interesting, but we've kind of come to the conclusion on the podcast, which is probably a bit fucking annoying to fighters, but is that the physical side, nearly anyone can do it. If you put a plan in place and they stick to it and they work hard, you'll get them to a fantastic physical condition. Yeah. But it kind of doesn't matter if your mind's not there with you. So what do you do to focus your mind, be calm in the ring? Because it says like you want to work people out, so clearly you need to have a clear mind, be relaxed in that moment. Like how do you stay mindful? What do you work on outside the ring?
Yeah, so relaxing, staying positive, like always. So regardless of what happens, just even on a day-to-day basis when things go wrong, just always knowing that you're in charge of your mindset And when problems come up, not seeing it as a challenge and being like, no, I'm super flexible in the mind. How are we going to deal with this? And really trying to put a positive spin on it. And the more that I'm able to do that, like on a day-to-day basis, it almost becomes second nature. But yeah, there's a whole host of things that you can do. So visualization is probably quite a popular one, where you visualize your successes, your wins, when you're in the ring, how it's going to plan out.
Is that something that you actively do as well then, yeah?
Yeah.
Big, yeah. We've had quite a lot of fighters that says that they'll visualise a fight beforehand, and they'll even walk around the ring before the fight and see themselves how they're going to win the fight. So it's interesting to hear that.
Quite a few shows, they do rehearsals as well the day before, so actually having the opportunity to like walk on the stage that you're going to be doing the next day, although it sounds really silly, like it's a dance rehearsal, is actually really valuable.
A little ritual, isn't it? I guess, get yourself ready to be there for the next day. And
yeah, just prepare yourself in as many ways as you can, and yeah, if the opportunity's there, then just take it.
When did you first fight in front of like a decent sized crowd, like, and how did you deal with that?
So my very first professional fight in China on EM Legend was like a huge crowd.
How big?
I remember
roughly. Give someone, like, when people are listening, give them like a picture.
Thousands.
Yeah.
Oh, it was huge, and I remember being behind the stage, and feeling really nervous, but in my mind being like, "No, you're super excited. This is it. This is what excitement feels like." I was like, "You better smile for the photos, Nicola. If there's one thing you're taking away from this."
Some good pictures.
Yeah, there's like the little fireworks that are coming out as you're on the walk, and you're like sticking your hands out confidently, but also praying that please don't set me alight. Like I need these tools.
Oh man!
I've always wondered that. We went to watch AJ Klitschko, and the
right.
fireworks going off everywhere. And I'm like, I'd be flinching, maybe. I would be worried, like all that shit burning off everywhere.
Yeah, my shorts are fire protected.
Exactly. So you do any kind of like breathing techniques, or you just kind of in that moment and you accept how you feel in that moment? Is that how it kind of works with stuff like that?
That's how I do it. Yeah. And I just tell myself it's excitement, and just remind myself that, you know, this is my dream, this is what I want, like enjoy it. Like you're here now. Why waste any energy like on anything else other than positivity? Like this is literally what you dreamed of.
Yeah. Have you always had that positive mindset?
It's been positive. It probably hasn't been as positive as it is now, but everything that you work on grows, and I'm a strong believer of that. And it's not like every day is a brilliant day. Like that would be the ideal scenario. But it's just being in control of it. So if you do dip, that you know how to get out of it, reset yourself. You know, if you're surrounding yourself with the right people, then when you do have a dip, you know who to reach out to, who will just get you back on track. You're like, great, I'm so grateful for all these people in my life that are able to have such a impact.
Yeah.
I think it's quite a cool skill to be able to pull people out of like a dip in the road.
Yeah,
and get them back on track.
Definitely, and to spot it and to not kind of jump on it. I think that's always a big one. Like you see with people, like, and I said it on this podcast so many times. You say stuff and you fucking say it over and over, but it's like misery loves company. So like if someone's moaning, someone will jump on, moan as well, and rather than jump on it. Try and get them out of it, positive spin, you know. It's nice. How did you form the team of people around you that you have now? Obviously, like you say, things grow over time.
Yeah.
But how did you start to put these pieces in place, and what did you learn along the way, and trial and error?
Yeah, so it was very much trial and error, and just having the opportunity of bumping into, it literally sounds really silly, but like bumping into different people who work in different sectors. Or just personally reaching out and saying, like, I'm really interested in improving my nutrition protocol. Can you? Is this something you can help or support with? And some people would say no. Actually, like most of them would say no. But you have to sometimes go through those 1,000 no's to get that one person who's like, yeah, I'm happy to educate you on this, and then you just take it and run with it. Once you have a couple of people on board, it's then very easy to say, I already have this person and this person. And that almost opens up the door of opportunity to then reach in. So you have someone who helps with strength and conditioning, mobility, physio, rehab.
What do you have in place right now then? So diet, nutrition, training, like what does it actually look like today?
So the team today, so I work with the fight dietitian for nutrition. So he's a guy based in Australia.
All right.
I work with Elite Step, so Reese, I think you've had him previously on one of your... I'm currently training with P at Golden Team and Daz there. And for physiotherapy and just keeping my body in good nick, I'm working with Peak Physiotherapy. My previous gym who I used to train with down in Luton, so Storm Gym, when I worked with them, that was very much honing a lot of my skills to like the technique that I've got now. So super grateful for that.
Yeah. So how did you end up in Leeds? How did that happen?
So it was with work.
Just work. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was with work that I've moved up here. So again, taking another path in my career. So now I'm not in anything to do with science, but actually work in banking.
Yeah. Okay. And how long have you been in the city for?
Oh, I've been here for a couple of months now.
What do you think?
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
It's so nice. The vibe and the chill here is just different. When you're in London, it's very busy and it doesn't feel like everyone always has as much time. And if you smile at people, like sometimes I don't know if it's a smile or a snarl. Whereas here it's a lot more friendly, it's not more welcoming. And I just feel like everyone enjoys life a bit more.
I'd say that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. Yeah, you're one of the first outsiders to come on the podcast. So I think maybe two we've had from down south now, yourself and Michael. That's it. Yeah. So yeah. Do you know what? It is a friendly vibe. How are you finding training with P and Daz? It looks like it's just a riot there all the time. Like
it's so much fun. No, I'm having a really good time, and it's nice to work with different people because you learn different things from them. Everyone has their strengths, so yeah, even just like my boxing with my hands I feel has improved so much since joining.
Okay, so the reason why you came to our attention was P mentioned you to us off air.
Was it on a boxing podcast?
I think so. It was very recently. Talking about your upcoming fight and also the rules around it or lack of. It sounds like lack of rules. I don't know. I'm probably going to butcher it, so I prefer you to explain to people that are listening what your upcoming fight is, where it is, and you know.
Yeah, so my next fight's in Burma, so they've renamed the country Myanmar now, fun fact. The traditional martial art is Burmese boxing, and it's now familiarly termed as Lethwei. So you can do punches, kicks, knees, headbutts. It's typically 5 3-minute rounds, and there's no protection. There's like a mouth guard. And
what have you got on your hands? Are they wrapped up or?
So there's some bandages on it, and that's pretty much it.
And how did that come about? I was going to say, how did you get roped into it? But how did that come about?
So it all stemmed from my fight name. So my fight name's called the Burmese Python. So the Burmese element. So my mum was born and raised in Burma. So Burmese. And then the Python, so that was a name given by my previous coach that describes my fighting style. So aggressive and fearless. And I think it's quite a big snake.
Yeah. So yeah, it's quite a big snake, yeah.
So when you put them together, we had the Burmese Python. And there's also actually he's famous, male Burmese Python who fights in Burma. I don't know if you know him. He fights on one championship in Myanmar. I think he's like a double world champion. And he's got an incredible following out of there. So then one day when, I'm assuming, this is how I see it, one day when someone went onto YouTube and typed in Burmese Python, they saw my videos come up as well, and then it's quite nice now that they've got a male and a female Burmese Python.
Yeah.
And that's how that kind of exploded, and what the opportunity for that came around from.
Yeah.
From the nickname, just directly from that. So when you got told what it was, did you just jump at it? Or for me, I'd be like,
I've wanted to do it like since the very
at all, yeah. I don't want to get kicked or punched, but if he's like, get kicked and punched, I'm alright if it's part of it, but you're allowed to headbutt me as well. No, I'm out. I don't.
Really?
Well,
that's the defining one.
My nose is a big ass target, so I'll just take that out of the question straight away. My friend said it to me on Tuesday, like, you would be shit at boxing because everyone will just aim for that beak. And I was like, do you know what?
Thanks for the confidence.
Yeah. He'll be listening and he'll know what I'm on about. But yeah, sorry. Back to you. Like, what was that, bro?
Oh gosh.
Is that me?
No, it's good.
Oh shit.
Ever since I first saw a Lethwei fight, I've literally from that moment been, I want to fight under those rules. And I don't think they ever really had a female division, so they've created a female division so I can participate and have a fight with them. It's literally, the minute I saw that fight, I was like, wow, that's fighting. I'd love to do that.
Wow. So this is one of the first female fights, the dog's off again.
Yeah.
This is one of the first female fights on in this establishment then.
Yeah.
Oh, it must be quite a proud moment for you.
Oh, the dog's super exciting.
He could stroke him. It's good. He did it with Sophie. Why is he doing it?
I don't know.
Every female podcast. Do you want to get out, dog?
Go on, sit down.
He's been hanging around with you two too much.
Just wanted to come say hi for a quick second.
Fame hungry dog. Sick of you. Such a diva. That's it now. He's back. Just thought I'd pop my head up. That'll stay in, by the way. Just so you know. We keep all this stuff in. Where were we? Lethwei fighting. Oh, it's the first one. Yeah, it must be such an amazing feeling to be the first kind of female.
I think it's incredible.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful.
What do your friends say about you fighting? What did they say at first?
Actually, you know what? Not many of them come to support. I don't think they enjoy watching their friend be punched or kicked.
But you're quite good. Like, you don't get punched and kicked a lot, as opposed to other people.
Yeah. No, that is true. But I think still they don't enjoy that feeling of apprehension, not knowing what's going to happen. Once I've had the fight and they know the result, they're like, oh, we're happy to watch it online. But being there live in the moment and sort of almost feeling the same adrenaline, it's not their cup of tea. But that's all right. You do what you love, so I'm happy doing that.
Yeah. How do you relax outside the ring? How do you stay? What do you do for when you're not training 3 times a day and working? What's the...
Gosh, well, there isn't that much time left.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But other than that, it's still focused around fighting. So it's either trying to do like mental games just to keep my mind sharp, or we could do like going yoga. I mean, I don't enjoy yoga at all. Like 10 minutes in, I'm like, nah, I turned up to lay down, get me standing up. But anything that's there that will help me improve, reading, that's pretty much it. And seeing family, to be honest, family pretty important.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what? Well, the mind's been a big thing, especially around fighters. What kind of books or what kind of techniques have you sort of read, and what have you kind of learned about yourself as well?
So I recently read, or listened to actually, Chasing Excellence. So it's written by a guy who coached the 2-time fittest male and female on the planet, and it talks about how he took them completely away from all of their distractions and worked on absolutely everything with them, but had a huge focus on mindset and how they deal with challenges, but making it more so than just their training and making it into their everyday lives as well, and how that was sort of the differentiating factor between where they were previously to where they are now.
Similar
to
what Matt Doyle said when he came on last week. We had a guy on and he was basically saying to take life like a shorter steps at a time, basically take it an hour at a time. If you've had a bad hour, call it a bad hour, don't call it a bad day, and see what you can do to kind of make things better. And it sounds like that's the kind of approach that you have of... Yeah,
absolutely. Like, don't make a 10-minute like argument or bad session like determine the rest of your day.
Yeah, is that how you've molded your career? Is by when you have had a setback, take it for what it is, but take it for the lessons.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's a bit cliche, but it does make you stronger.
No, do you know what? It is true to life. The thing about fighting is, and the thing why I think we've had a lot of fighters on here, is that fighting is very transferable to life. Like the ups, the downs, it's completely unscripted. You don't really know what's going to come come next. And
all you can do is prepare, right? Kind of.
All you can do is train to be stronger. Yeah. All you can do is train to be stronger. What was he? Sorry, my phone's gone down. Oh yeah, so being grateful, like you said about gratitude, it's come up on the podcast quite a lot. How do you stay grateful? Are you just grateful, full stop? Do you have a journal? Do you write this stuff down? Do you make a conscious effort to be grateful every day?
So for me, it's probably more on like a weekly basis. So I speak to my uncle quite a lot, who lives in Canada, and we have this quite nice thing going on where at the end of each week we sort of debrief, but say, you know, this is what's happened, and we'll talk about all the little roller coaster that life is just in a week. You can have like, you can start Monday and Tuesday on a high, and then Wednesday you don't know what happens, and then you're back on track on Thursday. Friday goes to pot, and then Sunday when we're having this chat, I'm like, yeah, but you know what, it was all good. Like, now I've seen the whole week in its entirety, I totally understand it, and yeah, grateful for everything that's happened and actually how fortunate I am. And I think it's really important to always remind yourself of everything that you do have as opposed to everything that you don't have. And yeah, I think that's a quite powerful reminder, because otherwise you get sucked into almost the negativity, saying like, you know, trying to compare yourself to other people, where other people are in their journey, what they have, without actually understanding the full picture. Like, what we see is exactly what people want us to see, not everything that's happened from like day one. And I think, yeah, with social media now, it's like especially hard to remember that, but to keep it in the forefront of your mind, I think can be quite powerful.
Yeah, so I've seen that you went on a social media like
freeze,
right? One, it worried me. I was like, am I gonna be able to get her on the podcast now if she's not picking up any social media? That was my selfish approach. But you're here obviously, so it didn't really matter. So is this something that you're doing commonly? Is this something that you've only just done, and why did you do it?
So I think it's important just to have some extra time for myself, more so than anything else. When you're on social media, I find just like a lot of time can pass by very quickly because I'm looking at videos constantly of people fighting, as opposed to then actually just using that hour productively to do something that I want to do. So it was more just so I'm less distracted, and the easiest way to do that is just to remove the distraction.
Yeah. When did you start to feel like it was a bit of a problem? Like, not a problem, I'm not saying you've got a problem with social media, but when did you feel like it was an issue that you had to address?
It's not necessarily it was like an issue. It's when I had a look at all my training, I realised I wanted to make more time to train.
Okay.
So for me, it was like, okay, well, we have 24 hours in the day, so like, where can you scrape together like an extra 60 minutes or 45 minutes to then be able to put that to something that you know will help you in the future, and that your future self will say like, thanks, Nick. And, you know, that was what came from it. It was like, okay, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here, 15 minutes here, 30 minutes here. Okay, there's my free hour.
Yeah. It sounds like when you pair that and the conversations with your uncle, it's like that you're actually very good at being self-reflective, which is actually super hard.
Yeah.
Like, have you always had that ability? Because for people to look at themselves critically, or even just have like a bit of a zoomed out perspective of what they're doing and where they're going and how focused they are on like aligned to their goals, it's quite rare.
Yeah.
Like, have you always had that, or did you have to cultivate it in a way?
No, I wish I was born with that. In fact, no, that was definitely cultivated. But that was very much, so when I first started doing the whole self-reflection, it was very much on a daily basis. And now I've been able to sort of narrow that down to just doing it on a weekly basis, because I'm able to manage my thoughts, my day, my patterns so much more productively that it doesn't need that constant driving home. I think that's with a lot of things in life. You just want to do it until it's second nature. Like waking up at 5:30, like that's a normal thing. It's not, oh God, you know? And it's just getting into that routine. It's almost
a mind game, isn't it? But like you say, it has to become a routine of, yeah, it's happening.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
And that you can't talk yourself out of it either.
Yeah, so it's non-negotiable. It's
yeah.
Once you set them in. So when you're doing this for people out there, and we get this a lot when people come on and they'll, within this hour, at times people will seem like very well-rounded, And we have to kind of constantly remind people by saying, well, you didn't get that way, you weren't born like that. It's like, how do you implement, when you start to do something, you say, I want to do this more. Do you just focus down on that single thing? You don't focus on anything else. You're like a single focused goal.
Yeah, so I get quite obsessive. I plan out my week to the hour.
Yeah?
Yeah, so it's like quite time consuming. But
so
for me...
Every week you'll write what's the plan for the next week. And
Yeah, like for the hour. Even when I'm sleeping, like you don't need to really put that into a timetable, but for me it's like, okay, I know I need to be in bed for this time. And I feel happy because in my checklist of am I getting suitable recovery, it's like, well, yeah, I am, because I'm in bed for 8 hours, I can see. And also, like, the minute I've done one day correctly, it makes day 2, day 3, day 4, because I'm like, oh, I don't want to ruin my streak, like, I'm doing so well. So I find for me that really helps, but it is very much obsessive.
Yeah, but use that to your advantage. You know?
Yeah.
Especially, like, as a professional athlete, the top people would have people on top of them about all these things, but, you've taken accountability, really, and done it for yourself. Like, how do you keep yourself accountable? Do you ever flake off with it and you're like, come on?
No, well, I mean, there's days where you...
Dominoes.
Dominoes every Friday.
I don't know, you know what? It's such a habit now that I just, like, don't like fast food. I just can't.
Yeah.
Even though, like, but you're not even fighting. Like, you've just, you've finished your fight. You can have anything in the world. And I'm like, no, I'm all right. Let's have a roast dinner or something.
That's still pretty good, though. Still pretty good for a roast dinner. But yeah, accountability. How do you keep yourself accountable? Do you keep people around you that keep you accountable, that'll pull you up like instantly, like, or maybe you just don't need it?
Yeah, it sounds like you're pretty good at it.
Yeah,
No. We all need it. I feel like constant, continuous improvement is important. But as much as I get it back, I also ask for it a lot. And sometimes you just don't want to know the answer because you sort of have an inkling, but it's still being like, okay, should I be doing it like this? Or what do you think I'm missing? What do I need to work on? And constantly making sure that you have something that you are working on. Because I think, like, perfection is like the ideal place to be, but it's not achievable. We can just only try to get as close to it as we can.
Like you said, it's about being, I guess in a way it is about being obsessed. It's what Grant Cardone says, be average or be obsessed with something, right, with what you're doing. And I think with anything, if you want to be great at it, you need to spend time. And
yeah, absolutely. And being around people who you can trust, who will tell you the honest truth. And that's both, like, if they're actually there in the moment, but also from, like, an objective point of view, when they're looking and saying, like, you're taking this way too to heart, like, it's just a piece of feedback, you either take it or you don't, like, simple as. And it's nice to have people on both sides to remind you that actually you are in charge of it, so it's what you decide at the end of the day.
Yeah, do you know what, that's really good for, I guess, for people to hear, for us to hear. It's so important to have that. Like, we will pull each other up on stuff now, part of the podcast. At first we really wouldn't, would we?
No, not at the start.
Too nice, too relaxed. Like, okay, that's all right. But now it's like more and more like growing that accountability and realising that it's not personal. Like,
no, it's not.
Especially if you have the right people around you, it comes from the best place.
Yeah.
It comes from a place where they want you to get to, where you want to be. And it's kind of nice, I guess, for people to see that. But how did you grow that circle? Is your circle of people around you quite small? And then how have you ever dealt with having negative influences?
So you sort of
there?
So it's quite a mixture, to be honest. I wouldn't have said my circle's always been, I know it's been pretty small all the time, to be fair, but over time I've definitely made it a lot smaller. But you pick and choose who you want to be around, and you get a feel from being around the right people when you're bouncing off the same positive energy, and they can just make any day a good day. Whether they bring something that's martial arts related to my life, or if actually, they're just like a really sound person. We can have a great conversation, and actually, like, we both feel better in ourselves. So it's just having a good mix, but being consciously aware that you don't want to too frequently invite negative energy into your circle, and if you do, then cut it off. And that sounds quite brutal, and it doesn't mean to sound quite brutal, but at the end of the day, sometimes you just need to put yourself first.
Yeah, Yes.
And
go carry on. Sorry.
I don't know. The only other thing that I'd add to that is that if you can't put yourself first, then you don't set an example for anyone else. Like they'll, in your eyes, never put yourself first. If you see where I'm going.
Yeah, sure. You should prioritize yourself on your happiness and your goals and stuff like that, and then hopefully everyone just aligns around you like in the right way.
Sometimes they don't, and if they don't, then that's something you just have to accept and move along with that.
Yeah, it's just part of life, I guess. Like people come, people go. Everyone's going to teach you something, or be like a little mini challenge, or like something to figure out or understand or learn from or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you seem quite philosophical about stuff. Like you kind of take stuff like as it is. Like someone comes to you like, all right, we just see how it plays out. Like it's quite. You seem very relaxed, very like back, mindful, kind of peaceful, laid back. And is that just always been your nature?
No, not at all. I was like super erratic and like bouncing off left, right, and centre. But I think it's with I've been making more of an effort to be mindful and doing the self-reflection and just being at peace with everything that goes on in life. And you can sometimes hear I hear a little voice in my head sometimes, like when you hear a response before you've even said anything, and just realising okay, that might be the automated response, but it doesn't mean that one, I have to believe it, or two, that it's true.
Yeah.
So
when did you start to put stuff like this into place? So when did you start to realise you wanted to make that change? What kind of drove that?
Yeah, so more so last year really. I don't know when in particular, but yeah, it was sort of last year during summer. Thought I had this Einstein moment, and then realised that everyone was doing it and I should probably play catch up.
I figured it out.
This is my help.
This is a secret.
And then realised that pretty much everyone did it, and I just had to sort of Google it. And it's been a massive help. I mean, it hasn't been easy, but then nothing in life really is if it's worth having. So
yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, exactly. So do you want to talk to us about your future goals? Like what are your big goals now in the sport, in fighting? What's the goal?
Oh, my dream. I'd love to be on one championship. So it's I describe it as the Asian version of the UFC. But they do kickboxing and Thai boxing on there as well.
Yeah, Liam Harrison's on there.
Yeah, no, he does. So that's incredible. Yeah, to follow and be able to be in one championship, that would be the ultimate dream. I'd love that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you think you'll be able to take steps towards that in the next few years and make that happen?
Yeah, touch wood.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, every time I close my eyes, I see it. So
you visualize it and it'll happen.
Yeah, when you see it on YouTube and you see people fight and you just close your eyes and you're like, that says my name.
Yeah. Well, I don't do that. I guess that.
The other end of the fight, man. Me too, probably. But so with the next fight coming up, then. So how long have you got until then, and how's training going for that?
So training's going really well for that. I'm really excited for this one. Training hard as always. I don't really take much time off in between fights just because I love it so much. So usually having to be kicked out of the gym as opposed to dragged to it.
Yeah. It's quite rare with fighters sometimes, I think, though. We've spoken to recently, some people are more fighters vary, just people. People are super up for all the physical stuff, and some people just
hate fighting, right?
We've asked fighters, do you like training? I fucking hate training. I just like fighting.
Yeah, it's really bizarre.
No, I hate it. Yeah. So, yeah, they've got to drag you out of the gym.
Yeah, pretty much. I absolutely love it. I mean, yeah, they literally have to kick me out of the gym. Otherwise, I'd be there all day. I'd be there until I couldn't punch anymore.
All right.
They're like, please go home.
And what's the date for your fight?
So the new date, so it's been brought forward a month. So it's now going to be on the 4th of October. So 6 weeks or just shy of it.
Yeah. Is that good that it's been brought forward? Does it make a difference? Does it?
It doesn't make any difference.
Help or hinder? Doesn't matter.
no difference.
Okay,
When ready to go.
Yeah,
It's next week.
there you go.
Exactly.
Yeah, and when you're making weight for fights, do you walk around pretty close to your fight weight? Do you have to cut weight?
I do have to cut a little bit of weight, but I try to get as close to that as possible for my actual fight. Like, I don't like doing a water cut or anything drastic.
Have you ever had to do anything drastic like that? Have you had to cut that?
For my first fight in China, I think I had to lose like 8 kilos.
In how long?
I did have some time, but by the time we got to China and with the whole flight, I had about 3.5, 4 kilos, which doesn't sound too much, but I think for females it's a lot more difficult. I just remember spending the whole night in the bath and like in a salt bath trying to sweat it out. That wasn't fun.
And did you feel flat going out to fight the next day after that?
No, I felt super excited. I mean, I didn't sleep that whole night because I was so thirsty. Oh. You know when you go to, probably not, but when you go to rinse your mouth with the Listerine, you're like, you're like, do not drink this. That's when I knew I was really thirsty. Because that usually like burns your mouth, and I was like, oh, this is quite nice.
Does it always taste like this?
Tastes like Robinson's.
Oh, do you know, I've always wanted to know what it's like to cut weight like that. Like you see so much stuff online. And did that put you off that experience?
After that, I was like, you're never doing this ever again.
I'm going to get as close to my fight weight as possible. And I guess it can, like Julie said, it can affect your performance if you do that quite a lot for most of your fights. It's quite a risk.
I haven't fought that light since either.
No.
Yeah. So I think how long have we been going? Nearly an hour.
Pretty much an
Wow.
hour.
Nearly an hour. Yeah, it flies. So if people want to find you, you want to
watch the fight is anywhere live on the internet.
Yeah, so it's gonna be live on UFC Fight Pass.
Oh wow!
So I'm the co-main event, so it's just super exciting.
That is very cool.
It's super cool.
Nice.
Yeah. No, I checked out the venue and I think it holds like some 1,000 people as well.
Yeah.
So that was super exciting. And it's also on Canal TV. So
wow.
yeah, and I'll be updating my social media pages. So at the Burmese Python on Facebook and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
People can find you on there then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Boom. Nice.
Thanks again.
Well, that's it. Unless you've got any last messages for people, we're going to wrap up.
Just thank you to everyone who supported me on the journey so far, everyone who helps me with my training, and all of my fans who are so positive with all the messages that they send and share. And thank you to both for having me today.
Yeah, that's what we was wrangling for.
Come on.
Thank us and we'll wrap up.
Do you know what? Again, sorry for messing up that intro, man. I've got to throw my hands up.
Right, peace out.